What if I told you that one of America's most advanced ancient societies didn't live on the ground, but inside the cliffs themselves? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast canyon, looking across a sea of juniper and sandstone. For centuries, this place held a secret, one so well hidden that it wasn't discovered by the outside world until two cowboys chasing stray cattle stumbled upon it in 1888. What they found wasn't just a few old ruins. It was an entire city built into the cliffs, a labyrinth of stone rooms, ceremonial spaces, and watchtowers carved directly into the rock face. This is Mesa Verde, the story of the ancestral Pueblo people and the breathtaking architectural wonder they left behind. But why would an entire culture move off the fertile mesa tops and into sheer cliff walls? And why, after building such an incredible fortress, did they vanish without a trace? Let's step back in time, to a world where survival meant adapting in ways we're only beginning to understand. For over 700 years, the ancestral Puebloans thrived on the flat tablelands of what's now southwestern Colorado. They weren't just hunters and gatherers, they were farmers, cultivating corn, beans, and squash in the rich soil. They built pit houses first, then above-ground villages connected by pathways and shared traditions. Life was stable, predictable. The mesa tops offered sun, space, and community, but around the year 1190 CE, something shifted. Slowly, families began to leave their mesa-top homes and move into alcoves, huge, naturally formed recesses in the canyon walls. It wasn't a sudden migration. It was a gradual, deliberate relocation that would transform their society forever. So what drove them into the cliffs? The answer lies in a perfect storm of challenges. Tree ring data tells us that a prolonged drought gripped the region. Crops failed, water sources dried up. At the same time, the population had grown, putting more pressure on limited resources. There's also evidence of social unrest, perhaps conflict with neighboring groups. The cliff dwellings offered protection, not just from enemies, but from the harsh sun and wind. The alcoves acted like natural insulators, staying cooler in summer and warmer in winter. Moving into the cliffs wasn't a step backward, it was an ingenious adaptation. And once they moved, they didn't just survive. They built a masterpiece. The most famous of these cliff dwellings is Cliff Palace, a sprawling complex of over 150 rooms and 23 kivas, which were circular chambers used for ceremonies and gatherings. To stand inside Cliff Palace is to witness ancient engineering genius. The builders used local sandstone, shaping it into blocks and mortaring them with mud. They constructed multi-story structures, some reaching 4 levels high, with wooden beams supporting floors and roofs. Ladders and handholds carved into the rock connected different levels. Small windows were positioned to capture the low winter sun, warming the rooms naturally. And perhaps most impressive, they designed a sophisticated water collection system, channeling rainwater from the mesa top into storage cisterns inside the alcove. But Cliff Palace was just one of hundreds. Balcony House, tucked into a narrow crevice, could only be entered by climbing a series of ladders and squeezing through a small tunnel, a natural defense. Spruce Tree House, nestled under a massive overhang, contained nearly 130 rooms and 8 kivas. Each dwelling was a self-contained village, with living quarters, storage rooms, and spiritual spaces, all integrated into the natural architecture of the cliff life in these stone cities. was communal and deeply spiritual. The kivas weren't just rooms, they were portals to the underworld, places where rituals connected the people to their ancestors and the cosmos. Petroglyphs carved into the walls depicted symbols of clan identity, spiritual beliefs, and celestial events. The layout of the villages reflected a highly organized society, one that valued both unity and privacy. For nearly 100 years, these cliff dwellings thrived. Generations were born, raised, and buried within the shelter of the stone. But then, around 1300 CE, something mysterious happened. The people of Mesa Verde began to leave, not all at once, but steadily, family by family, clan by clan. Within a few decades, the alcoves were empty. The stone cities fell silent, so why did they abandon their homes? Archaeologists point to a combination of factors. The drought worsened. Tree rings show some of the driest years in centuries. Resources became scarcer. There's also evidence of social fragmentation, perhaps internal strife or external pressure. But what's remarkable is that this wasn't an extinction. The ancestral Pueblones didn't vanish, they migrated. They moved south and east, joining existing Pueblo communities in New Mexico and Arizona. Their knowledge, their culture, their stories, they carried these with them. Today, their descendants still live in pueblos like Hopi, Zuni, and Acoma, maintaining traditions that stretch back over 1,000 years. The abandonment of Mesa Verde wasn't a failure, it was another adaptation. A conscious choice to seek a better life elsewhere. When the cliff dwellings were rediscovered centuries later, they were perfectly preserved, frozen in time. Pottery still sat in corners. Corn cobs lay in storage bins. The structures stood intact, a testament to the skill and resilience of their builders. In 1906, Mesa Verde became a national park, the first in the United States created to protect cultural heritage. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a place where visitors can walk in the footsteps of an ancient people and witness one of the most dramatic architectural achievements in human history. The story of Mesa Verde isn't just about a lost city in the cliffs. It's about human ingenuity, the ability to adapt, to build, and when necessary, to move on. It reminds us that civilizations don't always end. Sometimes they transform. And sometimes they leave behind stone echoes of their lives, waiting for us to listen. If you could explore one ancient city in the world, which would it be? Let me know in the comments. Your answer might just become our next Wonder Explorer adventure.